Good morning. Welcome to Washington Alliance, where we have fun in the rain. We do. I want to start us out this morning with a question, and I want us to think about this not only today, but even the next 3 weeks as we work through this series together. And the question is this: what is the scariest, maybe most dangerous, riskiest thing you have ever done or been a part of? I want you to think about that even over the next few weeks. Growing up, I was kind of bound to the homestead, so I didn't do a whole lot of risky things, at least real big risky, but they were risky for me. And I remember as a grade schooler one time, I had the opportunity to go to the local swimming pool with a bunch of friends, and it was a really big pool with slides and 2 different diving boards. You know, the one where you can actually, the water looks normal, the top one that you get up in there, it looks like the water's in a glass. You're so high. And we were at one of these pools, and my buddies, and there's some guys and girls with us, and they're comfortable in the pool. They do all kinds of stuff, and they started doing spins and flips, and they started daring me, like, Brian, come on, do a flip. And I was such a follower back then, and still am in some respects, and not a leader, so I had to follow for myself to feel like I had some sort of self-worth, just kind of how I grew up. And so eventually the kind of the ringleaders of our group who were enticing me, I felt, okay, I got to do this. So I get up on the low dive. I convinced them, no, I'm not going on the high one, I'm going the low one. I get out, and I did kind of one of those things where you run out and look at it and, you know, look at it a little bit, come back, and then you go out a second time. And you're not scared. You're just making sure you've got everything in perspective before you jump. And so I went back, and finally I hit the dive, and I jumped into the air. And the whole purpose of a flip is that you come around and either land with your feet or your hands. Didn't quite happen that way for me. I landed smack on my back and lost my air, go under the water. I did not want to come back up because I was scared to death what they're going to say and do. And so I came back up, and they're like, of course, laughing and clapping, and that was great, and which got everybody else around in the area clapping and laughing and wondering what was going on. And one of the girls with us came up and said, Brian, that was really cool that you did that. And I was like, okay, good. It's all worth it. You know, and a couple years later, so I didn't do a lot of dares myself, but I like to cause other people to take risks, you know, and so I did this a couple years ago, or years later, when I was in middle school. We were at a pool with my younger sister. She's about 4 years younger than me, and there's a big high slide that comes down into the water, and the water's a little bit deeper because of the slide as big as it is. And so I'm trying to convince my sister, Suzanne, come on, I got you. I'm down here, I'm in the water, I'm going to catch you. And she's no way. She gets up, she's looking, no. She starts back, and I'm just egging her and pushing her and pushing her. Come on, I got you. It's so much fun. You'll love it. So she's mustering up the courage to do it. And I wasn't real versed in math back then, so I didn't accurately calculate the speed in which she'll come down that slide and the distance to which she will then come off of that slide. And so she comes down, and I'm ready, and it's kind of like a movie when everything slows down. It's like, and there she goes. And she's about 5-6 feet behind me, and I'm scrambling to get back because she's not good in the water. And I grab a hold of her, and she gets a hold of my back. And we didn't have UFC fighting back then, but if we did, she had mastered the chokehold. She had that thing around me, and I'm struggling, can't breathe, trying to get to the edge. And I finally make it to the wall and get there, and I'm out of breath completely, no energy left. And I remember looking up, and what killed me is the people around there are watching this. They're like, good job. Way to go. You idiots, why didn't you help me? You've seen this quote before. I've shared it with you from Helen Keller. It says, life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. And some people have taken this idea of life being a daring adventure to a whole new level. And just this week I was reading and looking at pictures of this thing of extreme weddings and extreme wedding photos. And yes, it is a thing where people will get married in the craziest places, overlooking a live volcano. They'll get married on top of a large rock and bring everybody up there. I saw a picture of suspended on a net over a large canyon, hundreds of feet in the air. They're getting married. Or pictures of the bride and groom in their wedding garb snowboarding down a large mountain. One picture, I guess this is a thing, she was in her wedding dress and they caught it on fire, and she's just standing there with her wedding dress on fire. I don't get it, but it is apparently something that people do. Well, about 10 years ago or so, this husband and wife team Phil and Vicki Philbrick, a New Hampshire couple. They love adventure. They love rock climbing and things. And they started a photography business for husband and wife, bride and groom, to get their pictures in extreme places, even on a cliff. I think we have a picture of one here. There it is. This couple overlooking, it's beautiful, just absolutely insane. And somewhere the photographer is. And then there's another one here. This is a pretty nice one. The sun coming up. And I don't know how they rappel down. I think they rappel in regular gear, and then they put their wedding garb on. And what's interesting is, when I was reading about them, is they said in their 10 years of doing this, it's the woman, the bride, who wants to do it. She's the one who pursues it and gets her husband to do it. I can safely say that this was not at all in the plans for Kim and I. She would not have suggested this. I like pictures right, on solid ground. And just as a quick disclaimer, if any of you are thinking about getting married or know somebody who are, and you would like me to officiate, Hawaii, Bahamas, Florida, sign me up, fly me down. If you want to do something like this, most likely you need to get somebody else, because that's not going to be me. You may have heard the name of Ricardo Coxa. This is a Brazilian surfer who is only one of a handful of people that will go all over the world to look for the highest waves that they can possibly find to surf. And he did this just recently. He was surfing on this 80-foot wave, and it was, I think we have a clip for that. There it is. 80-foot wave, there he is. He's in the red. You can barely see him. And this was going to be a world record. And so they got the cameras and everything, and Guinness is there, and he made it to shore alive, and he got the world record for the highest wave to be surfed. And as I was reading, I found out that if you're doing this and you don't make it alive to shore, you don't get credit for the record. Just a small technicality. I would think most of us would agree that we fit into one of two categories. Either play it safers or risk takers. And as I've gotten older, and I think a little bit more wise, I've really camped out in the play it safers area. I don't care about doing flips. Doesn't bother me. You can coax me all you want. Really don't care. I'm secure. Got my wife. We're good. Pictures, I don't need to be on the side of a mountain. I'm good right here where we're at. Just not me. I don't want to be in a hospital or in a morgue. But spiritually, as I've grown and matured and gotten a little bit wiser, I think I camp out more in the risk-taker category. Because I want to get out of my comfort zone when it comes to sharing my faith and talking about Jesus and what his message and his mission is for us. And for you, that might look a little different depending on who you are. Being in that risk-taker category, it might be just meeting somebody you've never met before, having a conversation, and find out that they're struggling, and asking them, hey, could I pray for you? And actually doing it right there on the spot. That could be a big deal. Or maybe for some of you, it goes even further, where you'll be in a board meeting and you'll start sharing your faith, or you'll have a conversation with your boss and talk about your relationship with Jesus. But that's really where God wants us to be. And he wants us to be part of that. He wants us to get out of our comfort zone. It makes me appreciate Helen Keller's quote even more, that life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. God's adventure for us can be daring, but it causes us to think about taking faith-filled risks, to do something that we would never maybe do, to be part of this adventure and embrace everything that he has for us. It's kind of like if you go to a amusement park, Kennywood, Cedar Point. Some of you there's like one of three positions when you're on a roller coaster. You're either grabbing that bar and white knuckles and you're just not going to let go, or you're going to be kind of somewhere here where you're not far from it. You can get there, but you want to be a little bit daring, but I can still, or you're just letting it all hang out. You don't care, hands in the air, reckless abandon, and just let it go. And at some point, I hope by the time we get to the end of this series together, that you'll be able to take your hands off that bar, you'll be able to put them up, maybe even extend them out and say, God, I just want you to be part of this. I want to be part of what you're doing. I'm excited. Change me. help me to be a little bit more of a risk taker when sharing my faith. And I want to take some time this morning to allow us to evaluate a little bit where we're at in that. And I want to do that by sharing a story with us, and it comes from Matthew chapter 4. If you have your Bibles, you're welcome to open them to Matthew chapter 4. Just a few verses starting in verse 18, it says this: "One day as Jesus was walking along the shore of the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, also called Peter, and Andrew, throwing a net into the water, for they fished for a living. And Jesus called out to them, 'Come, follow me. I will show you how to fish for people.' They left their nets, and at once they followed him. And a little farther up the shore, he saw two other brothers, James and John, sitting in a boat with their father Zebedee, repairing their nets. And he called them to come too. They immediately followed him, leaving the boat and their father behind." Now, out of this, I think there's two important realities that I want us to grab this morning. It's this: the call and the cost. You see, the call is Jesus' invitation to us to walk towards something. The cost is Jesus' invitation to us to walk away from something. And I want to begin by digging down deep into this idea of the call and what that means for us. If we look at the text, we will see that these two brothers had a very big sense of urgency. I mean, they did. If you look, Peter and Andrew, it says they left their nets and at once they followed Jesus. James and John, they left their nets, they left their father, and immediately they followed Jesus. Now, why did they do that? Well, I think it's a couple things. Number one, they realized who Jesus was. But secondly, it's like Jesus telling them, guys, I know who you are, and I know you are phenomenal fishermen. You've been doing this for a long time. You do it for a living. You're like a professional, probably the best around. But he's saying, I want you to come with me, and we're going to fish for people. Translation: Jesus is saying, I want you to come with me, and we're going to love people in a way they have never been loved before. I'm going to show you how to love people in a way that you have never loved before. And to do that, we have to understand some of the conversations Jesus had and who he met with. On one hand, he would go to synagogues, he would go to temples, he'd stand outside, and he, more times than not, had confrontations with people, with religious leaders, with important people of that time. And he would challenge them in that what you're doing, what means so much to you is really not a big thing in the scheme of God's mission, which has to do with hurting people and the lost. But then secondly, and probably most importantly, Jesus would go to people in their homes. He would go to their businesses. He would go on mountainsides. He would go on beaches, wherever they were. Almost 120 times he did this, and every single time, the common denominator was that he helped them. Every encounter, he helped them. It didn't matter who they were. It didn't matter whether they were paralyzed. It didn't matter whether they were a leper, whether they were a prostitute, blind, if they were a son or daughter of some high-ranking official. It didn't matter. Because as he said in Matthew 9, his mission had to do with this. Jesus said, healthy people don't need a doctor. Sick people do. Jesus said, I have come to call not those who think they are righteous, but those who know they are sinners. Now I want to stop just for a second. I need a kid to come up here if he would like or she would like a $20 bill. Don't even ask you to do anything. Don't even have to come on the stage. You don't have to sing, dance, eat anything at all. You just got to come forward. Here we go. Here he is. Come on up here, dude. Now, how you doing? So just give me the money and let me go. Now what's your name?
Logan.
Logan. All right, Logan, so what if I took this and I crinkled it all up like this and, kind of did some of this with it and, I elected a little bit and then I opened it back up. You still want this? You still want it? You still want it, don't you? You know why? Yeah. Because it's still a $20 bill, isn't it? Yeah? Logan here. You want to follow Logan out today, he'll help you buy a flotation device. You might need that later on. Still $20. You see, Jesus didn't care where they were. They didn't care where they come from. He didn't care what they looked like because none of that mattered to the fact of how important they were in his sight. Jesus looked at it this way. Didn't matter about their condition. Didn't matter the condition of a person's life. Doesn't determine their value. I think that's exactly what he's calling Washington Alliance to be a part of. No matter what they look like, no matter what people come with, the baggage, it doesn't diminish their value of who they are in his sight and who they are in our sight, who they should be in our sight, because lost people matter to him and they should matter to us. And people need to be free to come here because sick people can be made well, sinners can be saved, and it's all because of the cross, because of what Jesus did for you and for me and the work that he did for us on the cross. And I want to introduce to you a little bit of a new look for us here at Washington Alliance. We've been talking about this for months and months. And we have been designing this, and we actually have a friend of ours in Kansas who put this together, that logo there. It's one of a kind. Nobody else has it. And we're excited about it because if you look at this cross, and a little bit different on your worship folder, but you can see, it almost looks like two crosses, but you can see a black arrow coming in from all four directions. And those arrows are coming in and pointing to the very center, the very heart of that cross, representing the place where Jesus hung for you and for me. Because it's all about him. It's all about the cross and what we're about. If you're new with us here at Washington Alliance, you may not know that we are part of an international denomination called the Christian and Missionary Alliance. We have over 2,000 churches in the United States. We have over 700 Alliance workers across 70 nations across this planet. And we love being a part of the Alliance. What they offer, multi-generational materials for kids and adults and the oldest adult, from retreats and conferences, meetings, all kinds of stuff that they offer for us, and we're excited to be part of that. But we also recognize something else, that we will not be defined by denomination. We're defined by who Jesus is and who he is in us. And it's interesting, if you go on our national Alliance national website, cmalliance.org, you're going to see that right in their mission statement. Let me read it for you. I think we'll have it on the screen. It says, the U.S. Alliance is part of a Christ-centered global movement of over 6 million strong. Our Acts 1:8 family is inspired by Jesus' love and empowered by his Spirit, and is passionate to bring the good news about him to our neighborhood and to our world. That's it. Following Jesus' Spirit within us, to love, radically love people and see God do something amazing in their life. We want to do this, and we feel we can accomplish it in 3 ways. Number 1 is through worship, through our worship. We want to love God back. We know that he loves us unconditionally, regardless of where we've been. We want to do the same for him. We want to worship together. The second way we want to do this and accomplish this is through connect, where we're living life together, because we believe that life is better when we are in community and that we can grow even closer to God together as a family. We want to connect. And the last way we want to do this is through serving, where we want to be acting in faith. We want to take Christ's model of how he served and do the same thing here within our church family, in our community, and the whole way across the planet. We want to worship, we want to connect, and we want to serve. And we want to unpack this and further develop this over the next 3 weeks as we move on. That's the call. What is Jesus inviting us to walk towards? Now I want to look at the cost. What is Jesus inviting us to walk away from? And to do that, I want to use this couch, an American fixture in just about every home. You go in a home, you might see a lampstand, a lamp. You might see different appliances, but just about every home you're going to see a couch. And so somebody in that family had to go out and purchase this couch. But before they did that, they had to consider a few things. Number 1, is it the right color? Is it going to match the decor of the room we're going to put it in? Is it big enough or too big even? Is it the right size to fit in that room? Is it comfortable? Is it going to serve its purpose that we're going to purchase it for? And then you bring it home, you put it in that room, and over the next several months and years, you break in the couch. And it's very, very important to you. It's a fixture in that room. I mean, it's where mom changed your diaper. It's where dad fell asleep watching the game. It's where the girls were playing house and Barbies and things. It's where the brothers were wrestling and falling over the sides and over the back. It's where Susie was eating spaghetti and spilled some, and there's still a stain on that cushion, and the dog took a little bit of a bite out of the corner of that cushion. And then something happens. You invite people into your home. And they come into your home and they come around to the couch and they might do something like this and kind of sit here and maybe even towards the front and I'm good. Or maybe they don't even want to sit in the couch and they'll just kind of stand over here and be like, I'm good right here. I'll sit on the floor. And you begin to think, man, is this couch still able to serve its purpose of why we bought it? And maybe, heaven forbid, we might have to replace the couch. I've been in several churches over the years, and I've had opportunities to speak in some, but talk to a lot of pastors and leaders. And something that I've found is a lot of American churches have a lot of couches in their church. And if you suggest to them maybe you need to kind of fix that couch a little bit and move it around a little bit, or maybe you should reupholster it. That might make it look good, or maybe, just maybe, it's time to replace the couch. They can get very defensive. I'm just saying. And they can say things like, I was saved on that couch. I will look at that couch every time I come into my church, and I love it. I just love looking at it. Or if this couch is good enough for Apostle Paul, it's good enough for me. And over the last probably 200 years or so, the American church has acquired a lot of unique couches. There's the stained glass window couch. There's the steeple couch, the wooden pew couch. There's the VBS couch and the choir couch. There's even the King James only couch. And they've acquired all these, and to the insider, it's okay. I like it. I like looking at it. It's comfortable. But when an outsider comes in and looks at that, something has to change. And unfortunately, most American churches spend more time and energy defending their couch than loving people. And I just don't think that's what God had in mind. The Christian evangelist Leonard Ravenhill said that there's nothing more tragic than a sick church in a dying world, and really that's where we're at. Here at Washington Alliance, we will not spend our energy defending couches. We can't. We can't afford to. We have to focus more on who we love than what we love. And our staff and our elders here do a phenomenal job of that. We are 100% committed to God's message, which is Jesus and Him alone and what He did for us on the cross. And we're 100% committed to His mission, which is to make Him known and to go out and to have a heart for hurting people and loving people and extend that grace to them. We will never change our message and our mission. But what we will change is our method by which we deliver that message and accomplish the mission. I'll tell you why. Because research has shown, and this may surprise you, that the average American church in the course of 1 year will lead just one person to Jesus. One. Now, a lot of churches in our country are dying. We're not. We're healthy. We're growing. But if the average American church is roughly around 80 people, the average church will spend all of its energy, in its ministries, its efforts, its programs, to just in a 365-day period lead one person to Jesus. And that's tragic. It's tragic. When you compile all the research, we find that the message of God and the mission of God is less important than their method of ministry. They're not willing to leave their boats and drop their nets and follow Jesus. And they're not accomplishing what I believe God put the church in place to accomplish and be part of this amazing adventure that He has for us. Nothing more tragic than a sick church in a dying world. And here at Washington Alliance, we are going to do everything we can, short of sinning, to reach as many people as we can for Jesus Christ until He comes back. And that's why 6 years ago we decided to maybe not focus so much on short-term missions for our youth here in the United States, but let's do something here. Let's take care of our Jerusalem. And the birth of Mission Washington came about. And we have seen amazing things happen. City council, congressmen, mayors are all on board with what we're doing. And it's not just a student thing now, it's becoming a church-wide thing for us and others in this community. That's why for many, many years we did Vacation Bible School one way and we changed it. We went to the community adventure at the park and we seen Jesus do amazing things in that park that whole weekend. That's why the 1st of December around there, we're going to see 10, 20, maybe 30 families come in, have a meal, hear the gospel, get presents for family members who are in prison. Or a week or so later when we open our doors to thousands of families that come in here to get toys that they can't afford, no strings attached, and we have opportunities to pray with them. We have students that will help carry their presents out or their gifts and toys out to their car and they'll pray with them. Opportunities to share the gospel, build relationships with these people, and then offer them to come back a couple days later and get a family picture. For most of them, they've never had in their life. No cost, no strings attached. That's why we've instituted this program called Pray For Me. It's a campaign that you'll hear about a little bit later. You heard last week, and we're going to build on that realizing how our students need prayer. They're not the future, they're the now. They're part of this church now. And to come alongside and pray for them. And different generations doing that. That's why we spend thousands of dollars a year to help people in this congregation and out in our community with heating bills and electric bills, and they just can't get enough food on the table, or even jumping in the church bus and taking people where they need to go, buying them clothes. Just a few of the things we do, and we have no plans to stop. We're going to keep on doing it because we want outsiders here to feel welcome, to feel that they are part of the body of Christ. And we're going to keep doing it. To do that, we realize we need some help. And to accomplish that the way we really need to, we need to talk about financial stewardship and what that means. And I have there's a plan called the 10-10-20 plan or program, 10-10-80, I'm sorry. You may have seen it. I'll use this sometimes when I do premarital counseling. And it's 10% give to the church, save 10% and live off of 80. And sometimes I'll even tell couples, if you can live off of less, maybe 75 or 70, increase your savings to 15 or 20 and see how God blesses. I was just seeing this week, true story. There was a pastor in Texas. He stood on the stage and he told the people that if you give 10% and over the next 12 months, God does not bless you, supply all your needs, and honor you, we will give all of it back, 100%, every single penny. I'm looking at that and I'm like, absolutely. You bet. We're going to do it right here at this church. If you give 10% over the next 12 months till maybe September of next year, and God doesn't bless you, supply all of your needs, and honor you, that church in Texas is going to refund all of that money. They said they would. Many of you will remember a couple years ago, we had an event here outside the church in the front where we burned a mortgage. We paid it all off. The bank owed nothing. We owed nothing to them. They owned nothing. And we burned it out there. And it was a celebration and satisfaction of mortgage. May of 2016. And for those of you that weren't there, I wanted you to get a taste of what that might have been like. The thing's loud, huh? And I got to start by thanking some people. I mean, that's exciting. I mean, debt-free means we own everything here. We own this building. We own the grounds, the property. And if at all possible, we don't want to get back into that again if we don't have to. But we also recognize that now we want to even take it to a whole new level with regards to ministry and how we take Jesus' message and his mission in this church to the community and around the planet. But I got to thank some people. I want to start by thanking all of you, especially those of you who have been with us for so many years, 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 70 years. I want to start by thanking you because you've been with us through this whole process. You were with us at the old church. You were with us when we moved into the middle school building for that time while this was being built. And you prayed. You prayed for us. You were with us when we moved in here April Fool's Day. You remember that? It wasn't a fool. We actually had church that day. You were with us when we went to 2 services, changed worship styles, and everything else. You've been with us, and I thank you. You knew who you are. The rest of you who gave, we were able to double our giving towards that mortgage to pay it off. We're so excited. But I want to also thank our staff and our ministry leaders who just tirelessly work in their ministries with very little budget. They do their best. I mean, we requisition everything here. We do. And the elders that you have put in place, phenomenal men who love God, who love people, they love this church, and they love where we're going. And they say no, which I don't always like, but it keeps me grounded, and I thank them. And moving forward, we want to take this again to a whole new level and do even more. But we recognize we need some help. Several of us are putting a plan together right now, and we're going to bring it to you of just needs within this church. We're out of space. We really are. And if you're here on a Wednesday night, we've got over 100 kids running around in all these rooms. We've got 30 to 50 teenagers running around. That doesn't include the adults. And so we're looking at the pavilion and just, can we close that in, still maintain part of it for a pavilion, but close it in for a youth center that would open up space here for our children as well. We don't have the space for our life groups that want to meet here on Sunday morning. We try to be creative in that, but we're doing our best. Our staff, we got people with desks out in the middle of hallways and tripping over one another, and we make do. But there's needs there. Within our building, the way we promote and different things like that, and what we're doing in the community. We want to recklessly love and care for hurting people like Jesus did. And I ask you if you can prayerfully consider how God would lead you in that endeavor. Maybe he's not asking you to give 10%, you can't. Maybe you would prayerfully consider giving 1% more to what we're doing here at Washington Alliance. God would say, yeah, I want to nudge you out. Take a little bit of a risk and see how I'll bless you. Because here's the thing. We will not be married to methods. We can't afford to. And if music styles change in another year or so and we start singing Christian polka or Christian rap and we got a turntable up here, you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Maybe clothing styles change and we got to start preaching in tux or something else. We're going to do it. Or remove all the chairs. You know, it's better to get people in here for Jesus if we're sitting on the floor. We'll sit on the floor. You get the point. Because here's the thing. We want people to come with this sin because we all have it. And we want them to bring that willingly, openly, without reservation into this place. And we want them to give it to Jesus. And we want to lay them at the cross because we want Jesus to be able to say to them and them to hear, you are forgiven. I have done it all. You are debt-free. Because as long as I'm here, we will not change or waver from God's message of Jesus and his mission to take that message to this community and to the very ends of the earth. He said to those people in Matthew 9, Jesus said, healthy people don't need a doctor. Sick people do. I have come to call not those who think they are righteous, but those that know they are a sinner. I just want you to know that I don't want to be a part of a church that spends all of its energies defending couches. I want to be part of a church that will leave 99 healthy, heaven-bound people to go chase after that one that needs Jesus, that's hurting. And I want to tell you, I would not rather do it with any other people than you. That's why Kim and I prayed when we decided to put our name in the group of men that wanted to be the lead pastor here, that we believed in what we're doing. We love you all, and we want to lock arms with you to carry out this message and mission. And our prayer for you again as we go through this, you allow Jesus to examine where you're at in this, evaluate your life in this endeavor. Then maybe, by the end of this month, maybe, you'll take those hands off that rail and you'll get them up in the air and say, God, I'm in. I'm ready. Let's go. I'm so excited about what you're going to do. Would you pray with me? Lord, we need your help in this, for us to be your hands and feet. We need to make you the center of everything we do. May we worship in a whole new way. We connect in a whole new way. May we serve with a whole new passion, modeling what you did and what you've done for us to hurt and lost people. Because, Lord, they matter to you. May they equally matter to us. We love you, Jesus. We thank you. And we praise you that you've allowed us to be part of this adventure you've called us to.